Countdown Conspiracy, Chapter 20, Part 2. My own mind topples over itself, running through all the possible reasons he might be contacting us. But then he starts talking, and my multiple trains of thought come crashing to a halt. What do you think you're doing? Mr. Burnett glares at us through the vid screens. What are you talking about? Anna starts to ask. You know, for the smartest kids in the world, you're all being pretty stupid right about now, Mr. Burnett says. The ISS crew just called Earth to report that they've spotted your ship heading toward them. Did none of you think of what Valor Heart would do once they heard that news? No one answers him. Some new thunking on the other side of the port door tells me that the ISS-2 crew is working on getting into our spaceplane. I edge my way toward the control panel. If I can just get the door open. If you hadn't stopped to pick up the ISS astronauts, you actually might have made it back without anyone noticing, Mr. Burnett continues. His hair is plastered against his forehead with sweat. But you had to be all noble. Why couldn't you just be happy with going to Mars? Don't you think Valor Heart has a plan for you if you try to return home? They're going to kill you. Their stupid rigged spaceplane couldn't kill us, Tamaki says. What makes you think anything they're going to do now will? Mr. Burnett's eyes turn, presumably to glare at Tamaki on his own vid screen. It's just a moment, but it's enough. I slam my hand into the control panel, opening the door to the ISS-2. Esteban releases the tunnel of suction material, which gets sucked to the sides immediately. 3 astronauts pull their way in, a flurry of limbs that grab at anything and everything to yank themselves through the tunnel into our spaceplane. Oh my gosh, kids! You aren't dead! Ming Chen gasps. Esteban, go! I hiss, shoving him through the door under the cover of the other astronauts. You're okay, Patricia Glower says, fawning over me. You're all okay. Hey, where's... Jean Pilot begins to ask, motioning to point at Esteban, who's flying through the tunnel to the ISS. I elbow him sharply and give him a warning look to say nothing. He seems to understand and shuts up immediately. This is pointless. Those astronauts are just going to die anyway, Mr. Burnett says. The edges of his eyes crinkle in distress, reading something from his droidlet, which just beeped at him a moment earlier. Valor Heart is messaging me. They know where you are. They're blaming me. Oh, goodness. My hand flinches. Now I'm really thankful I've been keeping Esteban's mission secret. Luckily, Mr. Burnett hasn't seemed to notice Esteban slipping off, and I purposefully avoid looking through the tunnel into the ISS-2 so as to not raise his suspicions. None of you get how serious this is. Do you have any idea what Valor Heart is aiming at you as we speak? Mr. Burnett asks. No, Anna says, and we don't particularly care. Well, you should, he responds. I bring the 3 astronauts up into the cockpit to keep Mr. Burnett's eyes away from any video feeds near the port door. The astronauts position themselves around my fellow crewmates, staring up at the large vid screen. What's going on here? Asked Ming Chen. Valor Heart just aimed 4 missile-launching satellites at your space station, Mr. Burnett says, reading from his droidlet, and they want me to... He pales on screen. They want me to fire the missiles if you make any move to come home. If I don't do as they say, they'll blow up the island as punishment. Missiles. That's a new development. I edge backward, heading back to the port door just to check to see if Esteban needs any help. Sounds like this is probably it. Our end. But the only thing my brain can focus on right now is the worry that we won't get the message through in time. Tamaki, get us moving, Raheem says softly. Get us moving and they won't hit us. The ISS astronauts start scrambling, getting systems ready for departure. You'd like to think that, wouldn't you? Mr. Burnett says, the sweat glistening on his face now. Miranda, I see you back there. Where do you think you're going? I freeze. Guys, please. He's begging. If you stop what you're doing and just stay up in space where you're supposed to be, I'll tell you everything. Miranda, I'll tell you what happened to your friend Sasha. Don't you want to know if he's safe? Sasha. I look up at Mr. Burnett, anger bubbling through me like boiling water. What did they do to him? I growl. Don't rise to his bait, Miranda, Raheem says. It's what he wants. I take a shaky breath. No, never mind. No? Well, then why don't I tell you how you ended up as a Mars cadet? Mr. Burnett changes tacks, desperation coloring his voice. I know the truth. I can tell you once and for all if you were meant for this program. I grip the side of the cabin door. I want to ignore him. I want to block out his words. You do want to know whether you were just chosen as a pawn or if you got in for real, don't you? That's important to you, right? I'm about to finally snap when instead Anna slams her good hand down on the dashboard. That's it, she yells. You listen here, you worthless human being. Do you know what Miranda has been through? What she's done for us, for this mission, for our lives, do you? I don't know if she was picked for your greedy game or not, but I do know that it doesn't matter. She's a part of our team, so you can just shut your face, you horrible, horrible coward. I gape through the doorway at the back of Anna's head in her co-pilot chair. Anna continues to shout, brushing away Patricia Glower as she tries to calm her down. We're coming back to Earth, and you can't stop us. They will blow this island, Mr. Burnett shouts in return. They're going to... Oh, wait. He stares at his droidlet. Oh, goodness. Oh, no. Oh, no. What? Raheem asks. What is it? Ming asks. It's too late, Mr. Burnett whispers. His voice is hoarse, and I can barely hear him. They've signaled the rigged helijet. They're giving me one final chance to redeem myself. If I fire the missiles at you, I get the Valor Heart helijet override code to unlock one for my escape. He looks up. If I don't fire, I die with everyone else. 5 minutes until detonation. No. My heart clenches. Mom, Dad, Emmeline. No! Tamaki screams. Behind him, Anna looks like she's been shot in the stomach, and Raheem's eyes are instantly filled with tears. Mr. Burnett, Najma says, tears pinching in her eyes as well. Please. I clutch at my suit as if I can shield my heart from the terror of knowing my family has 5 minutes to live. I'm sorry, he says. Anna's right. I am a coward. I've been one all along. Mr. Burnett, I say, reaching desperately. Remember what you told me? How circumstances can make you feel like a failure, but it's not always that simple. I don't think it's that simple with you. That's right, Najma exclaims. You're an amazing programmer. You can stop the detonation sequence. I know you can. Mr. Burnett lets out a humorous laugh. I'm not an amazing anything. I only got where I am because of Valor Heart, and now I've failed even them. All you failed at doing for them was murdering us, I exclaim. And I, for one, think that's a perfectly acceptable thing to fail at. He hangs his head in response. Mr. Burnett, please trust me, I beg. I get it. Sometimes you can feel like the worst, like your success is all a big lie. But that's only true if you let it be. Look at all you've done. Your programming fooled everyone. All you need to do is do it one more time. Please. Something in Mr. Burnett's face changes. A small twitch, a widening around his eyes. Our entire cabin is silent, waiting for his response. You know what? He asks. Maybe you're right. There's always the chance I could reprogram the helijet's detonator. I could still save people. He reads his droidlet once again, and his shoulders shrink. But I'd need all the time I could get. I can't waste minutes hacking past the jet security system. Not when Valor Heart could just hand me the access code. Mr. Burnett shuts his eyes, grimacing. Then he presses a button and lets out a shaky breath. Too late. I realize what he means. I'm so sorry. The missiles are launched. You've made it this far. Whatever miracles you've been pulling off, please pull off one more for me. Oh, goodness. I tear myself away from watching the now darkened vid screen and push off with my legs toward the port door. Esteban, I shout. Get back in here now! What's that boy doing in there? Jean Pilot demands. Tamaki, move this thing, Raheem says. Tamaki lets out a scream that says everything my heart is feeling. We can't leave him, I hear Najma cry out. I'll get Esteban, you get us going, I shout back, pulling myself through the hatch into the ISS-2. Time moves and flashes and bursts. I have to go through several doors in the space station before I find him. Esteban is talking into their communicator. That's right. None of it's real. It's all just a plot by Valorhart Industries. They've been behind every attack, framing countries and trying to get the world to fight again. I kick off a metallic wall, sailing towards Esteban and reaching out to him. I can't even take a moment to glance around the ISS-2 and appreciate the brilliance of this international collaboration. 7 years in the building. Esteban! I yank at him. Come on! What? What's going on? Esteban asked, still holding the communicator. This thing's about to blow! What? Esteban exclaims. They're still in there. We can't leave. Najma is crying over the headset. Listen, the missiles are incoming. We have to pull away now, Tamaki says, his voice strained. Miranda, Esteban, hurry up, will you? Come on! I tug on Esteban even harder. We move back toward the door, and he finally drops the communicator. We start our weightless race back to the spaceplane, past chambers and corridors I'll never get the chance to explore. A tearing sound begins, metal shredding against metal, and I realize that it's happening. They're physically ripping our spaceplane away from the ISS. But we're not back inside yet. Come on! We pull ourselves along the piping, one arm over the other. One arm over the other. Go, Esteban shouts, faster! The metal screeches even louder as we reach the door. I dive through, Esteban right behind me, pushing me into the spaceplane. And then it tears. Esteban! I scream, spinning. The small crack in the tunnel pulls our air out immediately and yanks Esteban back. Space sucks at my skin and I can feel blood vessels bursting on my forehead. No! I yell though the word falls silent as our air scatters into the darkness of space.